8 years. Nearly 3,000 days I spent grinding away to make my wife's dream a reality, while my own, a small woodworking shop, slowly died in the basement of our rented house in Chicago. For 8 years, I was everything to Chloe. Her husband, her A-Tim, her shoulder to cry on, and her workhorse. She wanted to become a world-class surgeon at one of the best hospitals in the country, and I, young and head over heels in love, promised her I'd pave the road to her dream, even if I had to use my own bones to do it. My life became an endless race for survival. By day, I worked on a construction crew, swallowing dust at sites in the suburbs. In the evenings and on weekends, I picked up shifts delivering pizzas, crisscrossing the city by night. I'd get home after midnight, smelling of concrete and cheap pepperoni, and collapse into bed without even changing. We barely saw each other. Our dinners became sticky notes on the fridge. Our conversations shrank to short texts. How was the exam? Good luck with your shift. Sent the tuition money. I paid her staggering medical school bills, her textbooks, her prep courses, burying myself in a mountain of debt that just kept growing. Just hang in there, Liam. Honey, she'd whisper on those rare nights. She actually slept beside me instead of passing out over an anatomy atlas. This is all temporary. As soon as I am Dr. Chloe Winters, everything will be different. We buy a house on Lake Michigan. We travel. You quit construction and finally open that workshop. Liam's fine woodworking. Has a nice ring to it, does not it? I believed her. I lived for that illusion of the future, shutting my eyes to the ugly present. But the present was becoming harder and harder to ignore. Chloe started smelling of expensive men's cologne, Acqua di Parma, a bottle of which cost more than my weekly salary. She'd stay late at the hospital, all night sometimes, blaming it on emergency shifts or work on a research paper. But the main source of my subconscious dread was him, Dr. Marcus Thorne, a brilliant, city-renowned cardiac surgeon, and her academic advisor. She spoke of him with a kind of breathless reverence. Marcus is a genius. Marcus says I have a gift from God. His name was spoken in our home more often than mine. One night, I decided to surprise her and brought dinner to the hospital. I found him in his office. The door was slightly ajar. They were standing by the window, looking out at the Chicago skyline. He was whispering something in her ear, and she was laughing, a carefree, happy laugh I had not heard in years. His hand was resting on her waist. When she saw me, Chloe flinched and pulled away, her expression instantly turning to one of annoyance. That night, she laid into me, accusing me of being untrusting and spying on her. She said my blue-collar mentality was holding her back, keeping her from building a career and making the right connections. I backed down. I wanted to believe her so desperately that I convinced myself I was just tired, that I was seeing things that were not there. And then graduation day arrived. A hot, humid Thursday in June. I took the day off, a first for me in over 6 months. I put on my only decent suit. I felt like I was the one moving up in the world, like all our shared effort had finally paid off. I sat in the vast auditorium at Northwestern University, and when the announcer called out, Dr. Chloe Winters, I jumped to my feet and applauded, not even noticing the tears streaming down my cheeks. 8 years of hell were over. Our life was about to begin. In the parking lot, surrounded by proud parents and cheering graduates, she walked over to me. I moved to hug her, but she stopped me, holding out a thick envelope bearing the logo of a law firm. What's this? I asked, a cold feeling creeping into my stomach. Divorce papers, she said, her voice calm and businesslike. My lawyer prepared everything. I've already signed. My world fell apart. I stared at her face, perfect, impassive, like a porcelain doll, and saw nothing familiar. Are you kidding me? Liam, do not be naive. You are a useful tool, but the construction is finished. Marcus sees me as a partner, an equal. And you still just the guy from the construction site. I see a not drag that dead weight into my new life. I was using you, Liam. You need to accept that. Dead weight. The words pierced right through me. I saw him then. Marcus Thorne was leaning against his black Porsche a short distance away, watching us with a lazy, triumphant smirk of a winner. And then Chloe delivered the final blow. She placed a hand on her still flat stomach. Am pregnant. And it S. Marcus S. baby. We want to give him the best. We want to start a real, complete family. I hope you would not cause any trouble. I understood everything. Every late shift, every glance she stole at her phone. I was not just being discarded. I was being erased, wiped clean to make space for the new, perfect picture of their future. Something inside me just snapped. The pain was so sharp I went numb. All that was left was a ringing emptiness. I did not scream. I did not beg. I silently took the expensive fountain pen from her hand, the one she'd likely just used to sign our marriage's death warrant, and using the roof of our old Toyota as a desk, I added my signature to all the papers. "Congratulations on your new life," I said, handing her back the pen and the envelope. Then I turned and walked away without looking back. I left her everything, the car, the rented house with all the furniture, our past. I walked away with a single backpack on my shoulders, never to return. For the next 3 days, I moved like a robot, executing a precise plan to erase myself. I closed our joint bank account, transferring my pathetic share to a new account with an online bank. I paid cash for a Greyhound bus ticket to Austin, Texas, a city of live music, startups, and people starting over. The perfect place to disappear. I tossed my old phone into a trash can at the bus station. Liam O'Connor, husband and sponsor, ceased to exist. The first few months in Austin were the hardest of my life. I live in a cheap hostel, work construction jobs for cash, try to numb the pain in my soul with physical exhaustion. The image of Chloe, her hand on her stomach, her cold eyes, it haunted my nightmares. But Texas began to heal me. The hot sun burned the last remnants of the past out of me. I started to notice the beauty around me. The hills covered in wildflowers, the sunsets over the Colorado River, the sound of guitars pouring out of every bar on 6th Street. I started working with wood again. At first, it was just a hobby. I defined old furniture at junkyards and restore it, giving it a new life. Then I started making my own pieces, simple but solid tables, chairs, and shelves. I sold them at a local flea market. People liked my work. Within a year, I saved up enough money to rent a small garage, which became my first real workshop. I called it Phoenix Woodworks, because like the mythical bird, I was rising from the ashes. One day, a young woman came in my shop. She wanted to order furniture for a coffee house she was opening nearby. Her name was Sarah. She was an interior designer with a shock of red hair, freckles, and the kindest eyes I'd ever seen. We talked for hours about her project, debating the texture of oak and the shades of wood stain. She was the first person to see me not just as a laborer, but as an artist. Our business meetings slowly turned into friendly ones. We'd walk in the park, go to concerts, have dinner at cheap Tex-Mex joints. She knew I had a difficult divorce behind me, but she never pried. She was just there, giving me the time and space to heal. With her, for the first time in years, I felt like a human being, not just a means to an end. 3 years went by. My Phoenix Woodworks had become a successful business with a handful of employees. Sarah and I were inseparable. We were building a house on the shore of Lake Travis, a house she designed that I was building with my own hands. I proposed, and she said yes. I was happy, truly, calmly, deeply happy. The past had almost stopped bothering me. But it was getting ready to strike back. One evening, my old friend from Chicago called, the only person who knew where to find me. "Liam, hey, listen, I did not want to bother you, but your ex, Chloe, she's looking for you." I told her I did not know where you were, but she sounded desperate. My heart froze. I thanked him and hung up. A week later, he called back and, unable to hold it in any longer, told me the whole story. Chloe and Marcus's fairy tale had ended before it even really began. Their son, Daniel, was born with a severe congenital immunodeficiency disorder, a bubble boy, as they call it. He needed a sterile environment, constant procedures, and expensive treatments that Marcus's insurance barely covered. The brilliant Dr. Thorne, the man who saved lives for a living, turned out to be a coward in the face of his own personal tragedy. He was not ready to be the father of a terminally ill child. It shattered his image as a successful, perfect man. The sleepless nights, the clinic bills, the crying baby, the exhausted wife. None of it was for him. He started disappearing at work, had an affair with a young nurse, and a year after his son was born, he just left. He filed for divorce, leaving Chloe with minimal child support payments that were almost entirely eaten up by lawyers' fees. Chloe's career collapsed. She could not handle the grueling pace of surgery while being torn between the hospital and her home. She had to drop out of her prestigious residency program and take a job as a general practitioner at a regular clinic just to have a stable schedule. She sold her apartment, moved to a cheap neighborhood, and drowned in debt trying to pay for her son's treatment. She was left with nothing. And then, in a moment of utter desperation, she remembered me. Liam, reliable as a rock. The man who always pulled her out of any mess. She started searching. She spent her last dollars on a private investigator. And finally, breaking every law and code of medical ethics, she used restricted medical databases to find a record of my annual physical in Austin. She had found me. It was a hot Texas afternoon. I was sanding a walnut countertop when the door to my workshop creaked open. She was standing on the threshold. I would not have recognized her if it were not for her eyes. They still had that same steel. Only now it was rusted with pain and despair. The expensive suits had been replaced with faded jeans and a t-shirt. Not a trace of her former glamour remained. Liam, she whispered, and that one word held everything. A plea, shame, hope. What are you doing here, Chloe? I had to find you. I need help. She took a step toward me, but I instinctively raised a hand, stopping her. And then it all came pouring out. Haltingly, choking on her tears, she told me everything. About Marcus, about their son, his illness, the betrayal, the debt. I was a monster, Liam. A blind, selfish, cruel monster. I destroyed the only person who ever truly loved me. I know I do not deserve anything but your contempt. I am not asking you to forgive me. I am asking you to help him. My son, Daniel, he needs a bone marrow transplant. It's his only chance. The insurance will not cover a tenth of it. I do not have the money. You were always so strong, so kind. Please help. Not me. Him. She looked at me, and her gaze held all the pain of every mother in the world. She was appealing to the Liam she knew, the guy who would have given the shirt off his back. And for a fleeting moment, that Liam almost answered. But then I looked down at my own hands, calloused and rough, the hands that had built a new life from the ruins. I remembered the nights in the cheap hostel, the taste of loneliness and despair. And I knew that guy was gone forever. Help, I said, my voice even. A wave of hope so intense washed over her face it made me uneasy. Really? Oh, Liam, I knew it. You do not understand. I cut her off. I will help Daniel, but I will not help you. She froze, her face falling. What do you mean? My lawyer will make an anonymous grant to the foundation that helps children with this disease. It will be designated for one specific patient, Daniel Winters. The grant will fully cover the cost of the surgery and his rehabilitation. You will never know the name of the donor, and you will never, under any circumstances, appear in my life again. I took my lawyer's business card from my wallet and placed it on the table. Your son's doctor will need to contact him. They handle all the formalities. Chloe stared at me as if I were speaking a foreign language. But why? Why anonymously? We could. There is no we, Chloe, I said, my voice as hard as oak. The Liam you were counting on died 3 years ago in that parking lot in Chicago. You killed him, and I will not let you dig up his corpse to solve your problems. I am doing this for an innocent boy, because no child should have to pay for the sins of their parents. This is not forgiveness. This is a full stop. Now, please leave. Just then, Sarah walked into the workshop. She had brought me lunch and a thermos of iced tea. She saw Chloe, saw the tense atmosphere, and looked at me with a question in her eyes. It's okay, honey, I said, walking over and kissing her gently. Get to know each other. This is Chloe. She was from Chicago. Chloe, this is Sarah. My fiancée. The wedding is in October. I saw the last flicker of hope die in Chloe's eyes. She saw before her not a broken man waiting for her, but a man who had built his happiness without her. A happiness where there was no place for her. She silently picked up the business card, turned, and walked out of my workshop, out of my life forever. I watched her go, feeling nothing but a quiet, calm relief. Sarah came up and hugged me. "You did the right thing," she whispered. I knew she was right. I had saved an innocent child's life, but I had not allowed the woman who betrayed me to poison my soul again. I closed the door behind her, shutting out the past. Ahead of me was a house to finish, a fiancé I adored, and a whole life that I had earned. Chloe got a chance for her son, but she was left with her eternal punishment. The knowledge that she had thrown away a treasure with her own two hands, mistaking it for worthless junk. And that's where today's story ends. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like and comment. We'd love to discuss this story with you. See you in the next video.